This video is sponsored by Rail and Road Auction House, the Midwest's only dedicated home for transportation memorabilia. Give yourself a chance to own a piece of history by attending one of their upcoming online or in-person auctions. Learn more by visiting rarauctions.com now. Although technically still winter, February 26, 2023 felt like the perfect spring day in northeast Georgia. And what better way to enjoy the weather than chasing trains on the CSX Gainesville Midland Subdivision? Running 40 miles between Gainesville and Athens, this hilly branch line serves many industries that rely on CSX to ship their products across the country. Although not typically a Sunday job, we caught up with local train L821, which was about to depart Gainesville with two AC 4400s for power. The leader, number 339, was still wearing the YN2 paint scheme, which is becoming a rare sight these days. At 12:30 p.m., the train departed Gainesville for Pendergrass, where the crew would run out of time before going on law that afternoon. Wanting to document as much of this scenic line as possible, we followed the train as it clawed its way south over the subdivision's steep grades. South of Gainesville, the train stopped to work River Valley ingredients. After switching River Valley ingredients, the train departed for Pendergrass. The history of this line began over 150 years ago when the Gainesville, Jefferson, and Southern Railroad was chartered in 1872. It was a narrow-gauge system that was completed in 1884 with 2 lines running out of Gainesville to Jefferson and Social Circle with a split at Belmont. The section between Monroe and Social Circle was acquired and converted from the Walton Railroad, a broad-gauge line, on the same day. In 1897, the railroad was forced into receivership due to bankruptcy. As a result, most of the track was sold at foreclosure in 1904 to the newly formed Gainesville Midland Railroad, while the old Walton Railroad became a subsidiary of the Georgia Road. In 1906, Gainesville Midland expanded its tracks from Jefferson to Athens. In 1908, the line was converted to standard gauge between Gainesville and Jefferson. In 1936, the company was reorganized as the Gainesville Midland Railway. Gainesville Midland played an important role in the economic development of northeast Georgia. The railroad transported agricultural products, including cotton and tobacco from the region, to markets in other parts of the state and the country. It also brought in supplies and materials for local businesses, helping to spur growth and development. In addition to its economic impact, the Gainesville Midland Railway was also important for the transportation of passengers between Gainesville and Athens. The short line faced challenges in the early 20th century, including competition from other railroads and the decline of agriculture in the region. Gainesville Midland went through several changes in ownership and management over the years, but continued to operate until 1959 when it was merged into the Seaboard Airline Railroad for the sum of $550,000. The short line resisted industry change by continuing to operate its decapod steam locomotives well into the late 1950s. It held the title as the last steam railroad in the state of Georgia, with its final steam-powered run taking place on September 19, 1959. 210O number 203 led the train, with its fire put out once and for all that evening. The 203 is preserved at the Southeastern Railway Museum in nearby Duluth, Georgia. Seaboard later merged with the Atlantic Coastline Railroad, creating the Seaboard Coastline in 1967, which owned other roads under the Family Lines brand. In 1980, Family Lines merged with the Chessie system to create CSX. Belmont, Georgia is at the crest of a 2.88% southbound grade. With a combined horsepower rating of 8,800, these 2 AC traction units were well suited to take on the hill. South of Pendergrass, we caught the train crew switching several industries before hitting their hours of service limit. Check out the Ichabod graffiti on this covered hopper car. Ichabod is renowned as a legendary railroad graffiti artist with his signature three-letter tag ICH, along with a skull, adorning a majority of freight trains across the United States. Despite his widespread notoriety, he remains an enigmatic figure, lacking any social media presence or discernible digital footprint. Once the CSX crew had finished switching, we returned to Gainesville to record trains on Norfolk Southern's Coastal Division, formerly known as the Piedmont Division. We were surprised to find Norfolk Southern ES44AC number 8105, the Interstate Heritage Unit, parked by the Amtrak station in the middle of a locomotive consist. We also saw the crew of local train P81 working to rearrange the locomotives using SD60E number 7022 to get the job done. The crew tied on to SD40-2 number 3469, pulling it forward so that they could couple up to their other online locomotive that evening, Dash 9 number 9644. They would use the two units to switch out New Holland Yard north of town, giving them extra horsepower for pulling and shoving long cuts of tank cars. Working the ground was conductor Casey Bell and conductor trainee Eric Keepler II. With both locomotives now coupled together, we caught the train running light over Athens Street. Dash 9 number 9644 was built in February of 2001 by GE at Erie, Pennsylvania. The locomotive has never been repainted, wearing the original thoroughbred paint scheme that it was delivered with over 20 years ago. With Norfolk Southern's ongoing AC-44 C6M conversion program well underway, the 9644 will likely be rebuilt in the next 2 years. EMD SD40-2 3469 was built in June of 1980 for the Burlington Northern Railroad. It operated for the BN until 1996 when it was transferred to BNSF ownership. In the late 2000s, the locomotive's ownership changed several times, eventually ending up as the property of NRE. In 2012, during a motive power crisis, Norfolk Southern purchased the locomotive to supplement an increase in traffic system-wide. At the north end of Gainesville's New Holland Yard along Lover's Lane, we caught up with P81 and had the opportunity to record southbound intermodal train 283 rolling by on the main line. 283 is a daily Charlotte, North Carolina to Memphis, Tennessee intermodal train that is interchanged to the BNSF Railway. The tank cars at Gainesville are often filled with various types of oil, such as soybean, vegetable, corn, canola, cottonseed, CV65, and crude. Empty cars are loaded with soap at Cargill and are delivered to another customer in Alabama. '96Z is a loaded ballast train that originates in Tipton, Indiana, and terminates at Baldwin, Georgia. The engineer on passing ballast train 96Z is Eric Keepler I, who was excited to hear his son working the ground over the radio on P81. About 20 minutes later, northbound loaded grain train 50G rolled by the New Holland yard with a 3-pack of wide-bodied GEs for motive power. We hope you enjoyed our coverage of CSX and Norfolk Southern around Gainesville and look forward to bringing you more videos from the area in the near future. Thank you for watching Delay and Block Productions. Until next time, happy railroading.